Welcome to the Fortune and Religion channel. We will be reviewing the book of Genesis, and in this video, we start from Genesis 1, the first chapter of the Bible. This ancient creation story has shaped not only religious thought, but also how we think in the world of today. Genesis 1 gives us a theological account of creation, but it's also had a profound influence on human history, from how we understand the origins of the universe to how societies organize their resources. So let's break it all down. In Genesis 1, the creation narrative unfolds in 6 days. Here's a quick recap of the order of events. On day 1, God creates light, separating it from darkness. On day 2, God creates the sky and separates the waters above from the waters below. On day 3, the waters gather and dry land appears, which God calls earth, and the waters he calls seas. He also creates plants and trees. On day 4, God creates the sun, moon, and stars to give light to the earth and govern day and night. On day 5, God creates the creatures of the sea and the birds of the air. And on day 6, God creates the animals of the land, and finally he creates man in his image, giving them dominion over the earth and all living creatures. This narrative is a poetic and structured account that emphasizes order and purpose in creation. But how does it compare to our modern understanding of the universe? Let's start by looking at Genesis 1 in relation to modern science. There are some key differences between the two perspectives, but also a lot of room for interesting discussion. First, Genesis 1 describes creation happening in 6 days, suggesting a relatively recent creation. Science, however, tells us that the universe is billions of years old, based on findings like the Big Bang theory and the cosmic microwave background radiation. Second, Genesis 1 describes a specific sequence: light first, then sky, land, plants, stars, animals, and finally humans. Science, on the other hand, shows a gradual process over billions of years. Stars form first, followed by planets, and eventually, life evolving over time. The first life forms coming about billions of years after the universe began. Also, in Genesis 1, God speaks creation into existence with a divine command, "Let there be light," and so on. It's an act of divine fiat. God's will creates everything. But science explains the universe's formation through natural processes, such as the laws of physics, gravity, and chemistry. Most importantly, Genesis 1 says, humans are created in God's image, distinct from the animals and placed in a special relationship with the Creator. Science, based on years of research, supports the view that humans evolved over millions of years from earlier life forms through natural selection and evolution. So, how can we reconcile Genesis 1 with modern science? Well, for many people, Genesis 1 is less about providing a literal scientific timeline and more about revealing deep theological truths. It's a story of purpose, order, and meaning in the universe. Genesis 1 shows us that God created the world intentionally and that creation itself is good. One way to reconcile Genesis 1 with modern science is to view Genesis as a symbolic or metaphorical account of the origin of the universe, emphasizing the spiritual truths behind creation, like God's sovereignty, the goodness of the world, and the special role of human beings in creation, while accepting scientific explanations for the how of it all. By approaching Genesis 1 as a story that answers why the universe exists, rather than how it came into being, we can appreciate both faith and science without feeling the need for them to contradict each other. Now let's look at the impact of the book of Genesis on the activities of the world and societies of today. Though Genesis 1 is a religious text, its themes have deeply influenced human societies throughout history, particularly in how we organize power, resources, and our relationship with the world. For example, the idea that rulers derive their authority from God has roots in Genesis 1, where humans are given dominion over the earth. In medieval times, kings often claimed their power was ordained by God, a concept known as the divine right of kings. Genesis 1 also places humans at the top of the created order, above animals. This idea has been used in various societies to justify social hierarchies and the dominance of certain groups over others. For example, the concept of human dominion has sometimes been misused to justify inequalities like slavery and patriarchy. Genesis 1 further teaches that humans are stewards of the earth. This concept has inspired modern environmental movements that advocate for the responsible management of resources and sustainable practices to protect the planet for future generations. Now, how does Genesis 1 influence us? Genesis 1 shows that human beings are given the task of cultivating the earth and taking care of it. This has contributed to the idea of the work ethic, which stresses productivity, responsibility, and diligence in the workplace, values that have shaped economic systems, particularly in the West. Also, the idea of dominion in Genesis 1 has been tied to the concept of private property. The belief that humans have the right to own and control land and resources has influenced the development of property laws and capitalist economies. Finally, Genesis 1 emphasizes that humans are entrusted with the care of creation. This idea aligns with modern concerns about sustainable resource management and economic policies focused on the ethical use of natural resources. In conclusion, Genesis 1 is not just an ancient religious text. It's a story that continues to shape how we think about the universe, our role in it, and how we organize our societies. By recognizing the spiritual truths of the book of Genesis and embracing the scientific understanding of how the world works, we can appreciate the wisdom in both. Thanks for joining us as we explore the book of Genesis. We hope you've gained new insights. Please subscribe and click on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We've got more exciting videos on the way, and we can't wait to continue this journey with you. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay blessed.